Hi, Bridge City. Are you ready for the sex talk? Happy Sunday and welcome to our NSFW series. This is your weekly touch point for community, connection, and conversation. Now, wherever you're joining us from, whether it be the live, hey, or a local watch party, the global campus, or even catching this video on replay, we're truly glad you're here. Now, Bridge City's mission is simple. We're here to connect better, build better, and live better. And our values are clear. We're forward-thinking, people-centric, and life-affirming. And our why is at the heartbeat of it all. Everything we do revolves around the reality that people matter. This isn't a place for pretending certainty. It's a place for honest thinking, shared responsibility, and intentional connection. So if this is your first time here, welcome. You don't have to agree to everything, and you don't have to have it all figured out. You're here, and that's what matters. And of course, we hope this experience brings you back next week. Now, to all of our guests, we have a free gift for you. Think of it as a small token of our appreciation and a helpful tool for navigating connection in real time. Follow the link on screen now and claim your gift whenever you're ready. And if this is already home for you, thank you for continuing to build with us. Community like the one we're building right now doesn't happen by accident. It happens because people like you choose connection over isolation whenever you show up. Okay, so now the big one. This series is called NSFW, and it's a little different than our usual series. Because sex, sexuality, intimacy, desire, shame, secrecy, consent, boundaries, rational complexity are not simple subjects. These are deeply personal. These concepts are shaped by memory, culture, religion, family, trauma, media, misinformation, and of course, your lived experience. For this series, we're not approaching the conversation from a posture of preaching or pretending. We're not going to pretend we have one neat answer that's going to fit everyone. With this series, we're creating a space for brave, honest, and non-judgmental conversation. We're asking what it means to understand our bodies, our boundaries, desires, histories. What do relationships mean beyond purity culture and patriarchal conditioning? Beyond the pop culture distortion and performative liberation. The goal isn't to sensationalize sex. The goal isn't to normalize it. And the goal is not to condemn everything. The goals are to become more mature, more humane, more self-aware, and more responsible in how we think about sexuality, intimacy, vulnerability, power, and harm. So before we get deep into it, let's take it over to the Bridge City News. There's a lot of growing, shifting, and unfolding, so I want you guys to all be in the loop. And in light of our NSFW series, I want to take a moment to shout out some of the amazing women in our community. Women who show up, contribute, support, encourage, women who make Bridge City feel like home. We see you, we appreciate you, and Bridge City is better because you're a part of it. Now, as you've heard, our global campus is under construction, and that's a good thing. Growth requires room, and we got some room to fill. We've officially launched our lobby, your one-stop shop for navigating the Bridge City experience. From there, you can find the Welcome Center, the Event Center, the Business Center, and more as we continue expanding our campus to support our growing community. So if you haven't yet, drop by, have a look around, see if anything interests you. Oh, and have you thought about hosting a watch party? Have you ever been watching a Sunday session and thought, I wish this was happening in my city? Well, a watch party might be that first step. Watch parties are small, in-person gatherings where friends, family, local community get together and watch Sunday sessions, have meaningful conversation, and build relationships around the mission and message of Bridge City. Visit the link on screen now to learn everything you need to start, host, and lead a watch party in your area. Now, let's talk about my favorite part of the community, our clubs. This month, we've launched 2 new clubs, our book club and our Conventions and Festivals Club. First, let's talk about our book club. Whether you're a lifelong reader or someone who's finally getting a chance to tackle the stack on your nightstand, pull up a chair. This isn't a club where everyone has to read the same book at the same time. Think of it as a shared library corner where you can show us what you're reading, swap thoughts, share big ideas, talk about wild plot twists, and pass along the quiet lines that stuck with you. And then there's our Conventions and Festivals Club. This is a space for people who love major social events. Music festivals, fandom conventions, seasonal celebrations, cultural gatherings, and unforgettable experiences. Share where you've been, what you loved, what you learned, and maybe even drop some memorable photos from your adventures. As the community grows, this can also become a space where we imagine and organize gatherings of our own. Keep eyes out for Bridge City conventions. So whether you're reading a book, planning a trip, attending a festival, or dreaming up the next Bridge City meetup, there's a place and space for you to connect. And I see you, new members. Since the start of the year, over 117 people have joined Bridge City, and we could not be more excited. We know joining a new community, especially online, can be overwhelming. That's why we've been intentionally building a campus experience that helps orientate you, connect you, and make it easier to understand all that Bridge City is becoming. So if you haven't already, visit the new member area, complete your next steps, introduce yourself, and start making the most out of your member experience in your new community. At Bridge City, membership matters. Every new connection is a small step to a better world. And are you ready to get involved? Visit our Teams page to explore the growing number of opportunities that help you do the work of community. As we move from conceptual to operational, we need volunteers who are ready to be the bridge so people can see the vision. Volunteering isn't just about helping your community look good. It's how we empower the community to actually do good. Every volunteer helps expand our capacity to support members, build relationships, host events, create resources, and mobilize around our mission in real time. Visit the link on screen to explore opportunities to get involved. And if you don't see something that fits, be sure to reach out to our team. Every second Tuesday of the month is Giving Tuesday at Bridge City. Now you all know how we do things here. We don't collect tithes, we don't collect dues, and we don't use guilt as a motivator. But this community is sustained by regular, intentional generosity by people who believe this vision is worth building. So Giving Tuesday is about funding the freedom. It helps us keep showing up every Sunday, expanding the global campus, supporting new members. It helps us create the type of community where people can choose association over isolation. Now, we can't offer you a mansion in the afterlife in exchange for your gift. But what we can offer is continued community, expanding resources, and the collective power to change the world in real time. So if this mission matters to you, visit the link on screen and help us keep building. Your generosity is making this possible. Thank you for building with us. So that's about everything for this week. If you haven't yet, this is a perfect opportunity to share the stream before the conversation really starts. Let's do the YouTube things. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Oh, and once the stream is done, be sure to drop a comment below. As always, thank you for being the bridge. Now, Darante, take it away with today's conversation.
Again, thank you so much, Ashley. Before we jump into today's conversation, I don't know if y'all have noticed, but we did something a little different today, and I'm going to pretend like I did it on purpose. But we have a special treat for you today. We've been making music for the past few months, and one of our most recent songs, we have one of our own members performing the lyrics. And so I hope y'all are ready for this. This is for our NSFW. You heard the song last week, but this week you get to hear it with the vocals of one of our members who's also in the chat. So I'm not going to call them out right now because I don't know how they feel about being called out, but please enjoy this vessel.
What's my name, fool? I don't need you to justify my love, to justify my skin, to justify or mystify this human that I'm in. I don't need you to sanctify my purity or defend my security. I am invested in my surety. What's my name? I came already. Can you see me now? Can you see me? Can you feel me now? Can you feel me? Can you hear me now? Can you see me now? What's my I'm not your vessel for your shame games. I no longer hold the blame, yeah. What's my name? I'm not your vessel for your same game. I no longer hold the blame. What's my name? I'm not a victim of yours. I'm not a target of yours. I'm not a vessel for your shame. What's my name?
Holy snap. How incredible was that, man? Jude, wow, that was amazing. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like that's my second, third, or fourth, or fifth time hearing the song, but being able to see the song, see the lyrics, man. Zernial, Jude, y'all knocked this out of the park. This is the beauty of being part of such a creatively diverse community. Like, dang, that was awesome. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Powerful lyrics, powerful performance. And listen, if this is your first time here, this is the type of stuff we do. If this is your first time here, welcome in. Wherever you're watching from. We'd love to get a gift in your hand. We have a link on the screen. You can go there and you can get that gift. Also, as you're coming in, let us know where you're watching from. You never know, you may be watching with your neighbor. So drop that in the chat. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't say Happy Mother's Day To all of the mothers here, however you support it, if you support it, celebrate it, commemorate it, however it is, happy Mother's Day. If this is your first time here, make sure you follow the link on the screen. We want to get a gift in your hand. And man, we're having a new conversation, man. The month of May, we're having this conversation called NSFW, not safe for work, or not suitable for work, or maybe not suitable for weak minds, or maybe not safe for weak minds. But we're talking about everything sex, dating, and unlearning the script. And so I kind of gave you the subjective last week, but just in the spirit of whoever's here for the first time, I want to make sure that I kind of bring you in on this too. The objective of NSFW is to create a brave, honest, non-judgmental conversation space where people can examine sex, sexual intimacy, sexuality, desire, shame, secrecy, consent, boundaries, and relational complexity beyond purity culture, beyond patriarchal conditioning, beyond religious guilt, pop culture distortion, and performative liberation, which that's when I think we're going to get to talk a little bit about next week when we jump into blurred lines. But rather than running the risk of preaching a fixed sexual ethic, this series invites participants to think critically, speak carefully, listen compassionately, and explore how sexual norms shape identity, relationships, power, vulnerability, and harm. The goal is not to sensationalize sex. The goal is not to normalize everything. The goal is not to condemn everything, but it's to help people develop more mature, humane, self-aware, and responsible ways of understanding their bodies, their boundaries, their desires, their histories, and ultimately their relationships. I mean, because that is a major part of who we are as a community, right? To help people, watch this, connect better so that we can build better and so that we can live better. See, that's my thesis. My thesis is if we want to get to living better, we're probably going to have to build better. And if we're going to want to get to building better, then we're really going to have to work on connecting better, right? So this series is a 4-week moderated conversation, where we're, instead of me following in the traditional lecture or teaching format, we're shifting away from that. My role as host is not primarily preacher, lecturer, or moral authority, but moderator, witness, and social commentator. I do not want to be anybody's moral authority on sex. You handle that in your own bedroom, boardroom, wherever you handle that at. So the emphasis is on opening space, guiding reflection, naming harm, reducing shame, and inviting people into more honest conversation. So at its heart, this series asks, what would it look like to talk about sex in a way that is honest without being reckless, that is vulnerable without being invasive, that is liberated without being predatory, and moral without being moralistic? All right. So let's jump into this week, and I hope y'all are ready for it. Just like last week, there's going to be questions, there's going to be polls. So we're going to go with the flow like we're going. All right. So the objective for this week is to explore secrecy, betrayal, fidelity, desire, plural relational models, and the difference between ethical non-monogamy and dishonest relational behavior. And those may be some new words for you all. And we're going to dive into this stuff. We're going to talk about it. All right. So we're going to talk about the difference between ethical non-monogamy and dishonest relational behavior. Let the church say, this weekend asks how people navigate desire, commitment, honesty, and relational agreements without relying on inherited scripts alone. And that's what we kind of ended up with last week, talking about those inherited scripts. So my aim, as I stated last week, is to prioritize interaction over instruction and shared experience over expertise. I don't think we have any experts in the room today, so we're not going to take that position. We're going to use our shared experience to pull some life lessons from. So let me say this again. I said it last week. This series only works if you're showing up to share. Like, if you here, you got to be here to share. Like, you're gonna have to treat this like the cookout. You're gonna have to treat this like the barbecue. Don't you show up empty-handed. Now, if you expect to leave with a plate, you better show up with something. You better show up with some cups, some silverware, some napkins, maybe some extra barbecue sauce, some condiments, some chips for the babies, the little hug juices with the annoying aluminum foil on them. The point is, if you're showing up, I'm going to need you to show up to share. That's the only way this conversation works, is if we're all in it together. You got to have some skin in the game. We're going to need your participation. Okay. So the truth is, we're talking about the truth is, that is too much. See, y'all started already. We're talking about two of the most sensitive subjects in the Rolodex of relationships: infidelity and pluralism. If we're going to cast away the shame, we have to be willing to talk about the secrets. And so this weekend, we're kind of going, we're going up there. We're going there. Okay. So let's drop today's title so we can spark off our conversation. Today's title is "You're My Little Secret." All right. One of my favorite songs. You see what I did there? One of my favorite songs when I was coming up, and I don't even want to date myself, but like, I turned 40 this year. Like, oh my goodness. But one of my favorite songs coming up was "You're My Little Secret." And it's by this group named Escape. And it's like, "You're my little secret, and that's how we should keep it. Na, 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 na." I never learned all the songs. And then the song starts, and like, one of the verses, like, "Everybody cheats, but you got to know when, and you got to know why. Got to know why." I told you I don't learn all the words, and just know the part to. But it was such an incredible song to me. And I had to be in middle school or maybe high school at the time. I think it was middle school, but they just like really put this subject out there. And this, for those of you who don't know who Escape is, maybe you grew up in the Real Housewives of Atlanta generation. Candy Burris was one of the Escape people. That feels like there's a joke in there. But anyway, and just speaking of Mother's Day, because we're in that time. Candy, who is a mother, is also an incredible businesswoman, an incredible artist. And like, she wrote, like, not just for Escape, but she wrote for a lot of big names. Like, she's written songs for Beyonce. She wrote Scrubs, which was one of TLC's. I guess because it's Mother's Day, we're going to be dropping a lot of women's anthems. But she wrote Scrubs. No, I don't want no scrubs. Scrubs is a can't get no. I told you I never learned all the words. I just learned the little rhythm. But anyway, I don't know why am I talking about Candy Burris? How did we get over there? But anyway, "You're My Little Secret," because that's the name of the song. And so when I was growing up, it was "You're My Little Secret." Now the kids, they don't shorten it. It's no longer "You're My Little Secret." It's Sneaky Links. And I'm like, why are we treating relationships like sausages? I don't mean to go into the comedic mode this early, but what is a sneaky link? And why does it got to sound like sausages? I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? So today we're talking about your little secrets. We're talking about your sneaky links, which again, I don't know why we making this stuff sound like sausages, But anyway, so this Sunday session is about helping people understand that healthy relationships are not built on assumptions, shame, possession, or secrecy. And like, let's just be honest, like, the possession framework is a major problem, and at least in the US. Y'all got to tell me how it is, our global members on other parts of the world. Healthy relationships are built on honest agreements, clear boundaries, mutual consent, and the courage to tell the truth before harm is done. And you know what? I wish I would have highlighted that right there. And it's not worded the way that I said it in my notes. It's not worded that way, but I wish I would have highlighted that, because I wish that's somewhere where someone would have taught me relationships from the very beginning, before giving me all of these other things. Men do this, women do this, blah, blah, blah. I wish somebody would have been able to let me know, hey, healthy relationships are built on these basic things, right? Everything else is whatever y'all want to do. Honest agreements, okay? Let's get honest about what we're agreeing to. Let's get honest about how we're agreeing to show up. Let's get clear boundaries. Like, it's okay to have boundaries. Let's get mutual consent, and the courage to tell the truth before harm is done. Like, I think that's something I used to tell my wife when we first got married. Like, the scariest thing in the world is I don't want to be in a relationship with someone where we're headed towards a cliff and the other person ain't saying nothing just to be nice. And I'm like, no, I need you to say something. And to be honest, I've lived through that before. We're gonna get to the interaction in a few. We're gonna get there, but I've lived through that before. I've been in a truck, like a van. One of my best friends, who I call brother, was driving. I was in the back sleep, and I wake up, and the truck is like doing the van is doing all of this, bouncing and stuff, and I'm like, we're going off the road, and my brother's falling asleep at the wheel, and there's a person sitting in the passenger seat, and he's wide awake. And I'm like, hey, bruh, why you didn't do anything? Like, we about to die. And he's like, I said, whoa, bruh. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the scariest thing in the world for me is to be in a relationship with someone and you see us headed towards danger, and you're not going to say nothing just to be polite. No, we need to be able to tell the truth before harm is done. So, this weekend is not really about infidelity and pluralism as two hot button topics. Those are the doorway. The real conversation is about integrity in intimate relationships after inherited scripts stop being enough. Like, what does my relationships look like now that I'm not following the inherited scripts? Approximately 20 to 25% of married men and 10 to 15% of married women report engaging in sexual infidelity, with rates varying by age and definition. Infidelity is more common in non-marital relationships, with over 50% involving some form of cheating. Now, while men historically cheat more, all right, now that's what the statistics say. The statistics say this. Now, men, I don't know how y'all feel about it, but the statistics say that historically men cheat more. This should have been a poll question right here. Who do you think cheat more? But I just feel like it would have been polarizing. That would have been a polarizing poll, right? But while men historically cheat more, younger women, 18 to 29, now cheat at slightly higher rates than their male peers. Dang, like, this should have been a part of the questions part, because I really do want to know what y'all think about that. Like, that's just mind-blowing to me. And I guess it's mind-blowing to me because I'm getting old. I'm turning 40 this year. Okay, I'm back. This is probably the most delicate week in this entire series, because listen, this is going to bring some of you are going to bring pain. Some of you are going to bring betrayal. Some of you are going to bring curiosity. Listen, some of us are going to bring defensiveness. Some of us still are going to bring some of that religious residue and personal judgment into the room. Let me ask you this question. How many of you catch religious residue in your thinking sometimes? Like, for those of you who deconverted from religious thinking, and you just drop it in the chat. We talking today, okay? But how many of you still catch yourself with, like, oh, when you think about something or you have a knee-jerk reaction to something, how many of you actually will be honest with yourself and be like, oh, that's that religious residue? Like, how many of you are willing to challenge what you like and dislike? Sometimes we'll say, oh, like, I just don't like that. I just don't think that's right. How many times do you actually ask yourself, why do you think that? Okay. Y'all ain't ready for that yet. That's all right. That's all right. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. All right. So the goal is not to flatten the conversation into monogamy good, pluralism bad, or traditional relationships are outdated. Do whatever you want, which I do kind of feel that traditional relationships are outdated, but that's just not the point of today's conversation. The better framing for this weekend is that relationships require honest agreements. Is that something we can all agree on? That relationships require honest agreements. That if we're going to be in relationships, we need to be honest about what we agreed on. You know, we need the honest agreements. We need these honest agreements, and harm often happens when people want the benefits of one arrangement while secretly living by another. And that's deeper than just sexual infidelity right there. Like, let me run that one back. Harm often happens when people want the benefits of one arrangement while secretly living by another arrangement. I'm so tempted to deep dive there, but this is not lecture day. But damn it, there's so much in that. All right. So this weekend, we're going to distinguish between monogamy as an honest agreement, infidelity as a violation of an agreement, pluralism or non-monogamy as a different kind of agreement, and ideally secrecy as the real poison. You're my little secret, right? That distinction lets us have a much more mature conversation without making the session feel like an endorsement of everything or condemnation of everything. Again, I don't want to be anybody's sexual moral authority. That's not the conversation for the month of May. For the month of May, we're not operating out of expertise. We're operating out of shared experience. This is a beautiful community building series, friends with benefits. Come on now. All right. So I do have my first little chat question today. And so I'm going to go ahead and drop this in here so we can get some. Oh, thank you. Yes. So we can get some conversation started. What counts as cheating to you? Let's just deal with the elephant in the room, since we're talking about, and this one you answer in the chat. I'm going to have some different ones for you. We'll have the poll for you. We'll do the same thing where you can answer anonymously in your own words, which I find so therapeutic. What counts as cheating to you? Deceit. I like that. Yes. Yeah, it's the cultural shame that gets associated with it. Absolutely. What counts as cheating? Is it just touching? Is it talking? Is it heartstrings? Is it thinking about it? Like, because coming from a Christocentric culture, I was taught that if you even thought about somebody, you had already slept with them. And then, like, we talked about stuff like this at our men's conferences and our relationship conferences, that thinking about being with other people, that's also cheating. So I'm curious to you, and listen, there are no right or wrong answers here. We're operating out of shared experience, not expertise. So just out of curiosity, what counts as cheating to you? And don't play with it. Pull on some real experience. Like you at this moment, if you're watching this show on a Sunday, if you're watching us, you've lived long enough to have some real experiences to pull on. So you ain't even got to look to the future. No, look back to your past and say, what is counted as cheating to me? Have you ever been in a relationship where you told somebody, no, like, this is cheating? What did it take for you to call it cheating? Yeah, what counts as cheating to you? I like this. Oh, you told me I was your only one and I find you with another. Oh, yeah. And you say he just a friend. And you say he just a friend. Oh, baby. Yeah, no, I get it. Yes. Yeah, you told me it's me, and yeah. All right. Lies. Yep. Lies. It's in the name. If you agree to a set of rules for a relationship, then to break them without renegotiation, that makes it cheating. I like that. You broke the rules without renegotiating. I like that. I really like that. It's a hard answer, but probably the actions of intimacy, physical and or emotional bonding. But these words don't feel very precise. No, I get it. It's like, nah, y'all, you got emotionally you got emotionally bonded there. Like you really thinking about this person. Having thoughts isn't cheating. Action taken behind the backs of others qualified as cheating. I like that. What you doing behind my back? You know, they say what's done in the dark will come to the light. Going out of bounds from what the agreed upon terms of the relationships were. And honestly, that's where I think that the single most steady through line is. Cheating is violating the agreement. And the agreement can be different for different people. Oh man. But I think the problem is, and I'm getting a little early here, I think the problem is because we live in a society where we assume that everybody wants the same agreements. Okay? So because we assume that everybody wants the same agreements, we often don't do a good job of creating space to actually define what our agreements are in the relationships. Would that be fair to say that sometimes problems arise because we're not even getting clear on what our agreements are? You know, like I always found it funny, even as a kid, watching weddings and, you know, they do the vows. And I'm like, why does everybody have the same vows? Why do we have the same agreements? We all different people. Everybody don't want to do. I vow to, you know, obey and to cherish, you know, and to death do us part. Some people ain't got to wait for death for part, you know. So some people say to renegotiation do us part. You know, I'm just saying. But you begin to notice that we get locked into scripts that we inherited. Let me get back in this chat here because I see we're busy. Man, I love this. The agreement can be different for the different people in the same relationship, hence harm. Absolutely. If you feel like you have to hide it, then it's likely violating your relationship agreement. And that is such a solid rule. If you feel like you have to hide it, you probably already know you violating, you know. The cheating is the breach of trust and the breaking of the social contract established upon the foundation of the relationship. I like that. I know sometimes the conversation of what the relationship expectations are in the beginning of a relationship can be very difficult to have. It almost feels like a mood spoiler. Oh man, and I want to come back to that because I totally identify with that. Good relationships have well-established foundational structure. Bad relationships rely on unspoken traditional ideas that neither party has a good understanding of. And that is, y'all is my people, man. Can I say that? Can I say y'all's my people? Like I can't give out like invites to the cookout because I don't even know if I'm invited to the cookout, but y'all's my people, okay? But no, like I 100% agree with a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing in the chat. And that's because one thing I did start noticing, like we've so romanticized what relationships are supposed to be that we don't actually approach them. And y'all gonna get mad at me. We don't really approach them with any type of real seriousness. I'm just gonna say it, man. We don't approach them with any type of real seriousness. And a part of that is when you live in a culture that defines sex by its sacred relationship to scripture, then you end up reducing relationships to the right to have sex. And so then people forget how to do relationships. And that's a bigger problem than just people not knowing how to do marriage. That's a bigger problem than people not just knowing how to coexist in a home. If people don't know how to do relationships, let me tell you something. If you have a community of people who don't know how to do relationships, you're going to have a community of people who also don't know how to do business. I'm talking bigger. Okay. No, because relationships is where it all starts at. If we're doing relationships wrong, 9 times out of 10, we're doing everything else wrong because you have to connect better in order to build better. And then you have to build better to get the benefit of living better. You know what? I'm about to make that make sense. Can I make that make sense real quick? I'm gonna get back to the questions, but I'm gonna make that make. Darante, you say you got to connect better to build better, and you got to build better to live better. Where you get that from? I get that from the Three Little Pigs. You have to build better. Y'all, somebody gonna catch me in here. I get it from the Three Little Pigs. You have to build better to live better, because when life comes to huff and to puff. Now y'all don't want to talk to me. You gotta build better to live better. And that's the purpose of relationships, is not just, getting a sexual fix. I mean, man, that's beautiful, but it's also being able to, it's to have someone to connect with for the purpose of building, for the purpose of living. I like being able to bring things back to the mission. All right, let me get back in this chat with y'all. One thing that I observed of churches is that each person has their own version of doctrine. Yep, all of them believe, everyone believes as they do, everyone believes how I do, is powerful. Yes. Good relationships are built on honesty. It is an absolute requirement. Movies, man, they warp your mind. They do. I'm one of those people who believe that a marriage proposal should be a lot like a business proposal. Yeah. Like will you marry me? I do. What type of contract is that? No, I'm going to need some details. I need to know how we're splitting assets. I need to know how we're splitting responsibility. I need to know what we're expecting this marriage, what this partnership to produce. No, okay. I'm playing, but I'm not, Okay, so yay. All right, 10 years single and celibate, waiting on love. All right, man. All right, single and celibate. I ain't mad at it. And that's the thing that I've learned. A part of Bridge City is that we're life affirming. So the goal is never to hear somebody else's life and just be like, oh, why you doing that? It's like, nah, man, live your life. Celibate, selling a bit, however y'all want to do it. I'm here to celebrate all of it. This is beautiful. It's almost as if approaching it seriously is seen as undermining the possibility of a good relationship, as if being explicit makes it vulgar. And that has been the thing. Like, listen, like y'all, I don't even know if we're gonna get through everything today, because the chat is like right on point. We've gotten to the point where being explicit is vulgar. Like even like when I was growing up, you'd have the albums come out, the CDs and stuff come out, and they had a little album cover on them, and it would say explicit lyrics, meaning vulgar lyrics. And now we have conflated vulgarity and explicit. Like, I'm just trying to be explicit. I'm trying to express my expectations. I'm trying to inspect what I expect. I'm trying to have some explicit some explicit expectations of this illicit relationship. Y'all, no, but like, we've definitely gotten to that place where the details, like, I mean, think about it. Like, in much of media, anybody who cares about the details is, I don't want to say anybody, that's obviously a stretch, but the majority of people who care about the details are always presented as cold, calculating. And I'm like, man, the details is how you keep us warm. Oh, y'all, see, I don't want to get in some financial stuff. Like, yes, I do. It's an ambiguous agreement. Like, what is going on there? Sex is also the least part of a relationship. Yes, you can see this with the fact that people can sell it. You don't sell care, you have to give it. Oh, y'all are on it today. The world would be far a better place if marriages were found on mutual bank account opening rather than buying fancy rocks for each other. I am not mad at that. I am single as a Pringle, but I am open to dating. I love that. Well, you know what they say about Pringles? You can't have just one. I couldn't resist that. Pringles are my favorite snack, and so I know their commercials. Oh, man. Single as a Pringle. Dang it. That is so good. That is so good. You got people out here thicker than a Snicker, and now they single like a Pringle. Like, I'm loving it. I'm loving it, man. Okay. So let me. That one question opened up a lot. And so I do have a I do have a interactive question, and so I'm gonna share my screen if I can. Oh, I got to remove something else from the screen. I see. I see. So now let me share my screen here. Bam. All right. So this is our first interactive question for today. What were you taught commitment was supposed to look like? And again, to participate in this one, you can go to menti.com and type in the code that's on the screen. You can scan the QR code that's on the screen. Either one of them will get you there. And what this does is this allows you to answer the question anonymously in your own words. We'll also have some polls today as well, but this allows you to answer the questions anonymously in your own words. And I think I'm gonna move me to the bottom of this. Let me see. This feels more like classroom stuff. But now like I'm getting let me see here. I want to see this other thing. No, I just realized my polls aren't in here. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun. None of my polls are in the studio. We're still gonna make it work. All right. So what were you taught commitment was supposed to look like? And to answer this question, you can go to the QR code on the screen. You can go to the link on the screen. So I love it. All right. And it looks like we got 3 of y'all in there getting ready to respond. And this is going to help us get to this place of talking about what happens when desire, dissatisfaction, loneliness, or opportunity enters the room. So what is commitment to you? What were you taught commitment was supposed to look like? Who taught you commitment? You know, what does commitment mean to you? This is the question that we're going to be asking ourselves. And I'm going to be mumbling a little bit to see if I can get these polls over into this studio because it lost my polls. Oh, okay, never mind. So, thank you, Zernial. Like, dude, you're on it. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have even looked over there. He's already on it. I love it. All right, that's beautiful. All right, yeah. So we're getting some answers in, and let me think about that question for me. What was I taught commitment was supposed to look like? Well, number one, I can say, I was never really taught commitment, right? Like, so while y'all are putting your answers in, I'm gonna talk about me a little bit. I know what I learned from the Bible, you know, which really commitment just sounds like ownership. You know, it really just sounds like ownership, you know. But that's not always what I saw. Like, so I was raised by several different people in my life. My mom raised me a little bit. I don't want to use the word raised. She like babysat me sometimes. But she was never in a stable relationship. So she just had some boyfriends every now and then. So I didn't really see commitment there. I was raised by my great aunt, one of my great aunts, and her and her husband had already divorced by the time that I came along. And, you know, Granny was entertaining her friends, so I didn't see any commitment there, you know. And then my grandmother, my father's mother, by the time I came along, she was already up in age, but she was taking care of her ex-husbands, you know, and I don't even think there was ex-husband, just ex-baby daddy type of thing, you know. So I really never saw commitment very, very much. I did see one of my aunt and uncles, one of my great aunt and uncles, they were married and had been married for a long time. But even in their relationship, it almost looked like, just for lack of better words, and auntie, uncle, if you see this, don't be mad at me. But it just looked like slavery, you know. Like, and as I say, when I think of commitment, the way that it was taught to me or modeled before me, which I think is why so many people resisted the idea of committing, because it just seemed like slavery. Like you're just trapped to this other person forever, and you just look like you in just perpetual disappointment with yourself and mad at the other people. And, you know, and I think that's why so many people in my family, like they left marriage alone. It's like, We'll leave marriage for the grown-ups type of thing. So I thought that was very interesting. Let me see here if let me look at these and see some of these answers. Excuse me. What were you taught commitment was supposed to look like? Man and a woman married, living together, monogamous only. Monogamous only? Absolutely. Yeah. Like that's the, and I'm gonna come back to that. I was taught what commitment looks like, but I guess we're mirror of our parents, which I did end up doing. I didn't end up doing. I get that. I wasn't taught what commitment looks like. Got you. I was taught that commitment was staying in the relationship regardless of how you're treated. I'm a woman. All right, you see that? And that's why I say slavery. It just really sounded like slavery and ownership to me. It sounded like something that once you made a decision to marry somebody, no matter how they surprised you, you just stuck. And that just never seemed right to me. That never seemed right to me. But then just also I want to highlight this the first one where, yeah, definitely commitment, marital commitment was taught like, nah, this is a man and it's a woman and it's only one man and it's only one woman. And that is marriage. That's what commitment looks like. But like at that moment, you're not actually telling me anything about commitment. You're just telling me something about monogamy. Because like that's I don't think you'd find the definition of, if you ever look up the definition of commitment, you're not going to find, oh yeah, one person of one gender and a person of the opposite gender and they together. That's commitment. Like, no. So it's like, yeah, thank you for telling me what monogamy is, and thank you for presenting it as if it is the only version of relationships or the only version of commitment that can work. But what is actual commitment? So thank you so much for highlighting that. I think I had this moment when I was counseling people when I was a pastor, where I seriously it was a moment where I hated the fact that I was a Christian because I couldn't give the advice that I wanted to give. And I shared this in one of our trigger warnings, one of our Saturday roundtables. But I was counseling a team of people, is only the way I can say it, at different times. It was 3 specific different young ladies who were all involved with one young man and who had all been, who all had children with this one young man, and were all like involved with the young man at times that he was involved with another one of the young ladies. And they're trying to find a way to fix this relation, this situation. One of them, anyway, it was a big situation. And the advice that I wanted to give, and this is like when I knew like my Christian stuff was slipping out the window, because the advice that I wanted to give was like, y'all obviously are okay with sharing a man. Like I don't like, I mean, because you keep sleeping with him. Like every single one of you keep being in relationships with him, and y'all are paying for 3 different houses. Like that just don't make sense to me. So I think maybe this is the advice I wanted to give. I couldn't give because I was a Christian, so I couldn't give this advice. But the advice I wanted to give is maybe y'all team up. I'm just saying. I am just saying it's cheaper to keep each other, I guess, is how you would say this at this moment. Like, yeah, there's another way to look at this. But anyway, the big point is that when you are taught that there is only one, that one way is the very definition of commitment itself, then anything outside of that can look like a significant challenge to reality. Of the casserole war, right? It was like, hey, just team up, okay? Like this is oh man, I'm sorry. Okay, we'll come back to that one in a few. So let's keep rolling. This is funny. All right, so we do have our first poll question ready. Thank you, Zerniel, so much for getting these in here. Dude. All right, so this first one is, and I'm gonna put it up. Dang it, how do I do it? There it is. I'm gonna put it up over here. And because again, today we're talking about infidelity and pluralism. So is flirting cheating? I want to know. You can answer in the poll by typing 1 for yes. Okay. You can type 2 for no, or you can type 3 for it's complicated. I see we already got it's complicated in there. Like that makes sense. That makes okay. So it seems like it's complicated is gonna lead this. I'm gonna have questions in a few. I want to see a few more votes come in. We got 28 people watching live. I want to see, oh, this is interesting. This is interesting. See, like you can't do this at church. This is why Bridge City is the best place to be on Sundays. There's nowhere else in the world you can do this. I mean, there might be some other places, but you get what I'm saying. Oh, I'm loving these answers. This is wild. So is flirting cheating? And so far, nobody has said yes. No, nobody has said yes. Oh, we're getting to the nitty gritty. I feel like we're the MTV of church now. Is that what just happened here? That we just become the imp? Like this is wild. The type of honesty we're seeing in this chat is flirting cheating. Like we're at, is that 80%? It's complicated. Is that 80%? It's complicated. Flirting is advertisement for cheating. I'm not mad at that. We don't consider flirting to be cheating in our relationship because we trust each other not to act on it beyond that. I know other people have different standards for their relationships. Man, come on. Look at the maturity in here. Okay, so I'm gonna say a name that some of you people don't like, but like I have to. That he's the person I heard the story from. But Sam Harris shared a story in his book. Dang, I got it somewhere around here, but his book on morality, and it gut punched me. Like, oh my! Like he shared a story about his wife going to the gym, and this dude like complimenting her and stuff like that. And then she comes back home and tells him, and he's like, and he has to catch this first response because his first response is like, oh, I want to go to the gym and give this guy a piece of my mind type of thing. And then he has to ask himself, remember when I was asking y'all earlier, do you ever stop and ask yourself, ooh, why do I feel that way? How much of that is reasonable, rational, or just religious baggage? And he was like, and for him, he went a little deeper. It wasn't even just religious baggage. It's for lack of better words, it's like primate baggage, right? He was like, that's just that ape nature in me trying to control, trying to resist the urge of someone else marking my territory type of thing. And like completely overlooking that, like, no, my wife is a beautiful woman. She like people should, be able to tell her she's beautiful without me needing to fight, every time. And I should be able to trust her not to take things, in a way that would violate our agreement. And it's just like, those are the type of conversations that I love to see. Oh man. I window shops a lot. I ain't mad at it. I have no shame but expect others to have those feelings you don't have yourself. Maybe you should think about it. Oh, why should anybody submit? Oh man. After getting cheated on, I had to actively and constantly stop that flinching reaction Sam described. Yes. Yes, it's a hard thing, right? Like it's a hard thing. And that's really examining how much of our of how much we respond is inherited and how much is chosen, right? So I'm curious for some of the people who said no, flirting is absolutely not cheating. How did you get there? Like that's what I want to know. How, like the little meme of the guy, he says, I've been delivered. My question is, how did you get delivered? Because that to me, that's powerful, I'm not saying everybody should be out here flirting again. And that's again, y'all, remember, that's not the goal. The goal is not to take a moralistic view. The goal is not to take a stance of expertise, but the goal is to learn from each other's shared experience, someone has to be opposite end of the comfort. People are not for keeps. People, ooh, we learned early on that someone has to be on the opposite end of our comfort. People are not for keeps. I like that. I like that, man. I like that. Cheating probably hurts as much as it does because if you share intimacy with others when you have committed to me, does that make intimacy with me a lie? And I know that that's where my mind used to go. And like, I'll tell you how bad I was. It wasn't even just for cheating. Like, it was just like, oh, so you called them the same things you called me? Wait a minute. Like, nah, they can't, we can't have the same nicknames. Nah, we not in the same league, bruh. And I was like, oh, bro, this is bad, dude. You got it bad. Like I had it bad. And I was like, oh yeah, this is some stuff we need to check. Why are you this person? You know, why does this matter to you? Like, and it's like, oh man. And y'all know I've talked about this openly as far as me. I had to check my media nutrition. You know what I'm saying? Like how much stuff am I exposing myself to that I'm letting normalize behaviors that I don't even that I personally don't even affiliate with. But it's not like I'm normalizing these behaviors in my mindset. Man. Yeah, it gets hairy really quickly because people have very different ideas of what constitutes flirting. I used to get accused of flirting so much when I was really just trying to be friendly. I'm telling you. Yeah, like it's that's a good point, actually. That is a good point. You know, because so many times we hear it as an excuse. I wasn't flirting, I was just being nice. But like there are plenty of times where that's absolutely true. And there's also times, and we just know this from society, that there are times where people like where you know somebody is misreading cues. I'm like, oh yeah, she flirting with me. And it's like, player, I really don't think she's flirting with you. Because I've seen dudes, it'd be a female literally trying to get away. And he think, yeah, bro, she flirting with me. Y'all remember the Pepe Le Pew type of stuff? Like that level stuff. And so that is like, I think that's some nuance in the flirting conversation that I've not that I've not often heard talked about. All right, so okay then. So y'all cool with that one. Let's move to the next one then. Let's move to the next one. I'm gonna stop that poll and then I'm gonna hide it. And so if you don't think flirting is cheating, I have this question for you. Is porn cheating? Because now, according to the church, it is. Like, I don't know if y'all notice a lot, but the church is like they're launching a whole all-out war against porn. Like they be dang, those numbers went in quick. Those numbers went in quick. Wait a minute. That's so funny. That's so funny. Like right now, the church is leading an all-out war against porn. Now, this was something that I found very interesting when I first joined, when I first became a part of the secular space. Right, I found this to be very interesting when I first joined the secular space. Is that someone reached out to me trying to expose another atheist content creator for having a OnlyFans account type of thing. And I was like, whoa, why is this any of your business? And more importantly, why is this any of my business? Why would you go out of your way to not only get in somebody else's business, but then also go out of your way and try to bring that business to me? What are you doing? Like, what? Stop that. No. And so I was like, just like horrified that someone would do this. Right. And so I was like, nah, man, it's not that big of a deal. And it was, and I realized, I think this is the first time I realized, like, oh yeah, people can still be caught up in like bullshit, even though they're not religious anymore. And so his mindset was, this person is a moral threat because they're engaging in pornographic stuff. They're touching themselves for money. They are a moral threat. And I'm thinking, in the secular community, Like, I'm just like, dude, like literally, if you don't believe in the Bible no more, without Paul, where are you pulling on this incredulity from? You know, like that's where my mind goes. I'm like, what? Because my mind went like, no, that's not anybody's business. I mean, it's his business. And if the business is doing well, I would like some tips. Because I ain't against making a few extra dollars. Hello. You know, what did it say? Do something strange for a piece of change. I've done things strange for less. Now let me stop. But the big point was I was over like it blew my mind that because you kind of think I think I ain't gonna speak for everybody, but I go through these naive phases where like for like 30 days I forget that people are people, like for just 30 days when I make a transition, you're just in a new place and it's like, oh man, everybody's so, oh damn, they just people, bruh. And so that really blew my mind that this dude thought that this other guy was a moral threat because he found out that he had an OnlyFans, and then he was trying to spread it to as many people as he could, because he was like, if this guy has an OnlyFans, he shouldn't be tearing down the Bible. I don't know what these things have to do with each other. And again, I don't know how you got into business. I gotta get back in the chat over here in a moment. Oh man. Oh snap. I believe they're working on their own. Man, I love this. Strip clubs are in person, and it does not get this, and it doesn't get the same shame as porn. That is very interesting. I've never thought about that. And it seems like the answers was unanimously, no, porn is not cheating. Y'all do with that what y'all will. Like I just asked the questions, okay? I didn't create the answers. Listen, nobody said it's complicated. Nobody said yes. Everybody said no. It's not. And I am inclined to agree. I am inclined to agree. That needs to be a public service announcement for states like Alabama, which is block porn for people who don't have VPNs. You see how I did that? All right. And I got one more poll for this one. One more poll question for this one. It's in the same vein. I'm going to stop this one because like everybody just put no, like dang. And let's hide it and let's throw up our next one. All right. How about this one? Is emotional intimacy with someone else cheating? How about that one? Okay. So we've talked about flirting, and by far and large, people are like, nah, flirting is what it is. It can be complicated, but it's more so about the agreements we have and the actions that you take. And I think that's pretty fair. We asked, is porn cheating? And it just seems to be like, no, why is this even a question? And that is one of the things that religious and cultural deconstruction can help you with, is that you do realize that certain things that were issues before are not that big of an issue. And you realize like how much stuff comes from like Satan panic, you know what I'm saying? And what reefer madness type of thing, which is funny if you've never seen it. But like a lot of our fears, a lot of our understandings, a lot of our inherited scripts are like purposeful propaganda. Like you're afraid because somebody wanted you to be afraid. You think this way because someone benefits from you thinking that way. And that's not necessarily a bad thing that somebody's benefiting from you thinking that way. But if somebody's going to be benefiting from you thinking any type of way, it should probably be you. You know, that's just me. Those are Darante's thoughts. I was thinking of a D word, couldn't find it. All right. So we got here for this one, is emotional intimacy with someone else cheating? And what we don't have here is we don't have a yes. Not one person said yes, but we also don't have a no. So far, not one person said no. What we have is everybody said it's complicated. It's complicated. Everybody said everybody plays the fool sometimes. You know, no, it's complicated, and I wonder why. Like that's a deep dive. That's a deep dive. Not by my own belief, but I've had female friends stop associating with me because they felt that way. Man. Man. All right. Is emotional intimacy. I want to. I'm curious. What counts as emotional intimacy? Intimacy. Like when is it ocean? When is it emotional intimacy? You know, when it. When is it? Like, what's the difference to just being emotionally connected to someone, emotionally friendly, and emotionally intimate? How do you draw that line? Like, how do you know when this is a smile and when this is an intimate smile? You know, like there's certain social cues that I've picked up on in life just when observing other people that I often find funny because it gets mentioned in media and stuff like that. So like if I'm out, if you know, if I work in a spot and I notice that two of my coworkers are like getting a little close to each other, like, you know, you see somebody hug somebody or you see somebody arm around somebody, you don't normally think of anything. But like if I see like the hand closer to like the nape of the, you know, like right there between where the back and the you know, where, you know, if I see the hand like there, like not on the booty, but like above the booty, like at that moment, that's a sign to me that I think these people are emotionally, intimately connected. You know, like right. It's a hard thing to when is that smile more than a smile? When is that hello more than that hello? When are you putting on the perfume for yourself? And when are you putting on the perfume because you want them to notice? When are you putting on the cologne just because you want to be fresh for the day? And when are you upgrading the cologne because like Sherry's at the office now? You know, like that's help me, you know, when the emotional intimacy shouldn't only be restricted to one person, in my opinion. Ooh, ooh. But if you're neglecting the maintenance of your committed relationship to seek sexual validation elsewhere, that's a precursor. That's good, man. Emotional intimacy shouldn't only be restricted to one person, in my opinion. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to ask the question of what exactly is emotional intimacy? Hmm. And again, that's I kind of go back when I think about how I thought commitment was commitment was this idea of literally just ownership of this like totalizing ownership of another person's experience. Like you own their devotion, you own their appreciation. Everything about them has to come through you first, has to be filtered through you first, you know. So you have to love me and only me. You have to be emotionally intimate with me and only me. But then when you actually start thinking about, and again, this is not monogamy bad, pluralism good. This is a much broader, much more nuanced conversation. When you start thinking about what these questions actually mean, it's like, oh, well, dang. Well, like, no, because I'm emotionally intimate with my kids. I'm emotionally intimate. I can't say with my parents. Some people are emotionally intimate with their parents, with their siblings. And so it's like, oh no, this is actually a much bigger conversation than just who I want to have sex with. Okay, let's keep going. Man, like, y'all done got serious in here. All right, so that's is emotional intimacy with someone else cheating. All right. So we have another interactive question, and I'm gonna shift to this one. Let me take the poll down, and I'll come back in a few and see what y'all got going on in the chat. Y'all done seem to got real serious out there. All right, and let me come over here. Let me hide this. Let me share my screen. All right. So the last question was what were you taught commitment was supposed to look like? We're moving on to question number 2. And again, to get in here, to get in here, you can scan the QR code, you can type the website and put in the link. But the question now is, what did your upbringing teach you people owe each other in relationships? And that is a really great question. Like, not even just not even just our sexual, intimate relationships. There's, to me, the question of what do we owe each other, period, is a great philosophical quandary to ponder on. What do we owe each other? And it's a constant question that I'm asking myself. Especially what do I owe other people? What do I not owe other people? What do people owe me? What do they not owe me? Oh man. What did your upbringing teach you people owe each other in a relationship? Nothing. And that was a lie. I like that. I like that. To the person doing the emotional intimacy, if they are discontent with their relationships, that's why they do it instead. Oh, I just saw a thumbs up come across the screen. That is so cool. That is so cool. Yeah. So what did your upbringing teach you people owe each other in a relationship? I don't think I'm getting through all of my notes today. There is no way. There is no way. I got 15 minutes to make it through the rest of these. And I have more questions. I have so many more questions. Man, but that is society's expectations, not desire. Well, I can tell you, one of my upbringings taught me that women owed me their virginity. That's what my upbringing taught me. They owed me their purity. That's what my wife owes me is her purity. What my wife owes me is to come to the marriage bed pure and undefiled. Now, for whatever reason, while it was taught that I owed that as well, it was not stressed as much. it definitely was not stressed as much. So it was definitely that. And then there was also this binary of love and respect that in the culture I grew up in, women owed men respect and men owed women love, type of thing. And it was just like, why can't I be respected and loved? And why can't you be respected and loved? Why do we have to pick one or the other? So I know there was quite a few things that I was taught that I owed others and that other people owed me. My history, and then that one might not be too bad of one, but okay, let me tell you what I've done, who I've done it with, type of thing. Which probably just maybe just a safety report would have probably been better. Instead of giving you the body count, I'll just let you know it's all clear. All right, we're safe here. But yeah, what did your upbringing? Let me come over here and see if I can see. It looks like we got an answer in here. My upbringing taught me that I only owe most of me, but never all of me. Same with the other person. That's interesting. Yeah, I only owe most of me, never all of me. Same with the other person. And you know what? I think I may have gotten the idea like we owe each other all of each other. Like I think, and maybe that's another one of those kind of false binaries of monogamy, or at least from the Christocentric standpoint, because the idea was that two people become one. Two people, they leave, you leave your mother and your father's house and you become one flesh and you become one identity. And so there really does, and I'm not saying everybody gets there, but there really does become this point where you begin to believe like, no, we owe all of each other to each other. We owe all of ourselves to each other. I think John Legend had a song about it. I give you all of me, and of course, like, it's beautiful. But that's one of the things that I began to realize was problematic, not just with religion, but with culture is, listen, I'm a poet. I love flowery language, but we've gotten so good at speaking flowery language that we don't really question, like, what does that mean? And like, because then at the end of the day, it's like, and I think this is one of our biggest problems with intimacy in relationships. Intimacy has been hijacked by cliches, and the cliches are so meaningful. I mean, meaningless rather. I remember I started unpacking this in when I was still a believer. I was listening to this song that used to be one of my favorite worship songs, and it's like, for your glory, I will do anything just to see you and behold you as my king. I want to be where you are, And so then they sing this whole song, all these things that they do for the glory of God. And one of the songs like, I'll cross the hottest desert, no matter near or far. And it's like, you is not about to cross the hottest desert. Like what is even the utility of doing that? Like, why would that be something that God would even want you to do? Why are we saying? And listen, I get it. I was being very facetious. It sounds a little, tongue in cheek, but I'm like, nah, because at that moment I'm a Christian. I'm like, why are we lying on purpose? We know we're not about to cross no hottest desert. Tasha Cobb's ass was not about to cross no hottest desert. This heifer don't even like walking up the stairs. I know she was not about to cross the hottest desert. I done met her before. I know what she wasn't about to do, But I'm just saying, like, we get so caught up. There ain't no mountain high enough. And it's like, no, there is some mountains high enough. Everest it's about high enough. Okay, I'm not going up there, But you start noticing that flowery language becomes more preferred. It becomes preferred if somebody says, I will cross the ocean for you. I will go and bring you the moon. What am I going to do with the moon? Like, why would you crossing the ocean help me? And I know, again, I'm being facetious here. Yes, I am. But what I'm trying to highlight is that when we get used to that flowery language, when we start preferring that flowery language, we want somebody to tell us they'll go and bring the moon to us, and they won't even help us go half on the rent. And I'm like, I don't need you to cross the hottest desert. I just need you to take 50% of the phone bill. Like, if you can take 50% of the phone bill, nobody has to have a heat stroke. Okay. Like, I don't need you to become an astronaut overnight to bring me the moon. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm gonna come back to these answers. We have unrealistic expectations of togetherness. Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, so sexual and emotional exclusivity, but even when I thought I was monogamous, I was very uncomfortable with the latter. Like, people aren't allowed to have friends. Like, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Like, right? But a joint bank account. Yo. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that sexual and emotional exclusivity. So that's another thing. Yeah, that's another thing that I owe you my emotional exclusivity. I owe you my sexual exclusivity. Watch this. In a world where I've never even been taught sexual discovery, sexual agency, or sexual autonomy. So I owe somebody exclusivity in an area that I haven't even been able to experience with. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Like, this is good. I don't think we were taught what is owed to each other in a relationship. Just obey Jehovah's instructions in the Bible. That's such a good point. Like, because it's like, y'all don't owe each other anything. You owe God. Do what God says, and that's how we make it through. We do what God says. But that's real. Listen, I hope y'all are getting something for this conversation. I gotta get through. Let me see how many more of my notes I'm gonna be able to get through, because this is All right, we'll go to the next question. We're going to go straight to the next question. And this one, y'all are going to have to think a little hard on, okay? Are y'all ready? This one, y'all going to have to think a little hard on. It borders obsession. It really does. And I mean, it creates obsession. Like it's an ownership issue. Like I think when I deconstruct it, and I'll go ahead and put the next question on the board so y'all can be thinking about it. What makes a relationship arrangement ethical or unethical? When I deconstruct it, I was also going through a divorce, because a part of the reason is I had realized that, and it's just me talking, I'd realized I'd kind of married one of the things that I said I never really wanted to marry. And it's like, how many of y'all saw Coming to America? Like, okay, let me make me a little bigger right now, just because I'm talking about Coming to America. How many of y'all seen the first one? Not part two. Part two, but the first one. I saw it when I was a child, right? And there's a scene when Vanessa Bell Calloway is like the princess, and she's coming up, and he talking to her in the back, and he's like, hey, what you want to do with your life? And she's like, whatever you like. And he was like, oh, so you don't have any ambitions, you don't have anything that you want to do. And that struck a chord with me as a child. And I was like, yeah, like I wouldn't want somebody who just wants to follow me and do everything that I'm doing. I want somebody who wants some things to do of their own, so like we can like build some incredible stuff. And when I was deconstructing, I realized like that was something that I had kind of like reneged on, that I got back to that place where it was just like, no, relationship that got simplified to God is the head. I mean, man is the head. God is the head of man. Man is the head of woman. Woman the head of the kids. And it's like, this just makes no dang sense. Yeah, the original is still funny. Like it still gets me. It still gets me. All right, so we're on to this question. What makes a relationship arrangement ethical or unethical? And honestly, y'all, I think we've already answered this question. I think we've already answered it, but I'm curious to see what your answers are going to be, because we found the through line earlier. I think what makes a relationship arrangement ethical or unethical is not how many people are in the relationship. Nope. It's not what type of positions or arrangements are used in the relationship. It's not what type of kinks are allowed or disallowed from the relationships. For me, it seems to be honest agreement, mutual understanding. I like that communication and understanding is a great place to start. All relationships are ethical when they mutually benefit the group and mutually mitigate collective harm among the group. I like that. Maintaining the social contract, yes. What makes a relationship arrangement ethical or ethical? Common ground or unethical? Yeah, common ground for sure. Yes. Yes. I think the opposite of infidelity is not necessarily monogamy. The opposite of infidelity is integrity. It's integrity. And for all relationships, I think it's how are we maintaining the integrity? And when I think of integrity, I don't just think of how do we play nice with each other, right? When I think of integrity, I think of how is this working? I think of workability when I think of integrity. If the integrity of a structure is compromised, the structure will not hold. The structure is not going to work right if the integrity of the structure is compromised. The same way in relationships. If relationships are if the integrity of the relationship has been compromised, the relationship is at risk for not holding. It's at risk for not holding. this is why I like one of my favorite television series that they remade recently. HBO did, and I say recently, I think it went off the air maybe about 5 years ago, but they did Westworld, and I think they did like 4 seasons of it. But in the second or third season, I think it had to be the second season, they were really working on getting the robots, trying to put the human memories back into the robot bodies to basically clone the humans. And what they were the thing that they were searching for in the robots was fidelity. Okay. Is fidelity, which is basically for them in the context of the show, it was the ability for them to relive life, like watch this, as written, basically to honor the honest agreement, right? And so at any moment it's deviating from the script, from the agreement, from the proposal, from the honest agreement that we built the relationship on, that's at the moment it is now in infidelity. Its fidelity has been compromised. Its integrity has been compromised. So the opposite of infidelity is not necessarily monogamy. The opposite of infidelity is integrity. It looks like we got an answer, so let me get over here and read it. Boundaries that are mutually agreed to and understood by all parties and can be modified via the same consensus mechanism. People evolve, relationships should too. Oh, I like that. I like that. Oh, I like that. That was Westworld. Westworld was the show. No, I like that a lot, because that's another thing that the culture becomes, once I say the vowels, I'm trapped to those words forever. Family Guy. That's hilarious. I'm trapped to those words forever. But what I love here is like we can come back and modify via the same consensus mechanism. And the reason why I like that, because again, for those of us in Western culture, marriage was often defined externally, not internally. Like, yeah. Relationships with other people were often defined externally, not internally. So like if we sit in the truth for a moment, we'll realize that not all of us, some of us saw it early and and got the fuck up out of it, but we'll realize that many of us, and if this is just we sit in it and tell the truth, that many of us have been in a place where the majority of the relationships we've been in, we've never got to build them based off of what we wanted, what we desired, or what we needed, because that didn't exist as a conversation. You're in a relationship because this is what society tells you. That you're in a relationship because this is what your parents say you need to be doing, or this is how it needs to be done. You're getting married because society tells you that you're not honoring the other person if you're not marrying them. You have so many external reasons for why you're doing things that I'm not 100% sure that most of us are in the driver's seat in our relationships. That most of our relationships, most of our wants, most of our desires, most of our kinks are being defined by external factors instead of internal factors based on lived experience. Dang, man. Oh, I hope this is good. I hope this is good. So I love this. I love this type of interaction, man. Oh, okay. So common forms of fidelity, and then I'm going to get out the way because our production team, they got some stuff that they got to do today, and I'm out of smokes, so I have to go handle that. That's how you maintain this sexy voice. That's where it comes from. It's the Marge, what is Marge Simpson's sisters' names? It's that thing. All right, so common forms of fidelity. And I'm gonna run through these real quickly because we've kind of talked about them in my chats. You can see them in my chats. There's physical infidelity, right? That's kissing, sexual acts, or physical touching with someone outside the relationship. That's emotional infidelity. That's developing deep, intimate, romantic connections with someone else, often sharing personal secrets with them instead of a partner. Yes, got to get them greens. Secretive behavior, hiding communication, lying about whereabouts, or doing things with others that one would not do in front of their partner. And then sending digital infidelity, which this was a new one for me. I had not seen this one. Digital infidelity, sending flirty messages, engaging in cyber sex, or maintaining secret online relationships. And I guess that is a thing. I guess that is a thing. Oh man. And then last one, financial infidelity, which I think this is a big one for me. Secretly spending money or hiding financial assets, debts, violating shared financial trust. That's probably like the biggest one for me. I think after I started deconstructing, I did realize like I'd always thought that the sex thing would be the biggest problem for me. And luckily I've not had to deal with sexual infidelity at all, but I always thought that would be like just the biggest thing that would ever bother me. But the more that I get to know me, like that, sex has become just like body parts, type of thing. It like financial infidelity. Oh, that'll break my heart. Like what? Like what? But they lied about the money? No, like that's whoosh. Yeah. Oh man. No. All right. So chat real quick. What emotion comes up when you hear the word? And I'm gonna remove my screen for a minute. What emotion comes up when you hear the word infidelity? Like what emotion comes up for you? What crosses your mind when you hear the word infidelity? And while you're doing that, I'm gonna they lied about the files. Infidelity is complex, but the top causes often stem from emotional and physical disconnection, unmet needs, or insecurity. All right. Emotional and physical disconnection, that's a communication problem. Unmet needs, that's a communication problem. Insecurity, that's somewhat of a communication problem. Key drivers include a lack of sexual satisfaction. That's a communication problem. Feeling neglected or lonely. That's a communication problem, somewhat. Anger and revenge. That's definitely a communication problem. Lower commitment levels or a desire for novelty. Communication. It's rarely just about sex. And I think that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned from both pastoring, because you had to counsel a lot of people, and deconstructing, that our relationships and even our sexual behaviors are less about sex than many of us actually assume. That much of even our sexual behavior is much more about our psychology and our psychology and our sociology than it is just biological procreative needs. There's so much going on with that. So what emotion comes up when you hear the word infidelity? Man. Oh, abuse. Infidelity means you're putting my body at risk for STIs. And that is a big one. That was a big conversation in our trigger warning, like I think 2 months ago. It got good. Betrayal. Yeah, I think that's one that does hit when I think of it. Some primary drivers of infidelity, which we kind of hit again, that emotional disconnection, lack of sexual satisfaction, unmet needs and neglect, anger and revenge, low commitment, opportunity and temptation that cannot be overstated, situational factors like work trips, social environments, or alcohol consumption. Again, you'd be surprised how much is based on our psychology and our sociology, not just our emotional reflexes. And then the exit affair, which this one was different, but I thought about that. One. Exit affair is when someone is cheating as a way to end the relationship. And it's like, this is the way I prove that it's over. And I'm like, the more you know, huh? The more you know. Okay, so Let me see what else we have here. Not the STDs. It's always betrayal. Yeah, it's always the betrayal instead of the action. If both parties are aware, then it's not infidelity, but change. That's right. And I think that's why I kept highlighting the fact that these are really questions about, or these are really struggles of communication, right? What happens, and this is why we're talking about the inherited script. What happens when we stop entering relationships on assumptions? You know, which also means we have to learn how to create spaces where we're not having to build relationships on assumptions. Um, you know, if your, for lack of better words, needs change, ideas change, relationships should be a safe space to explore those changes, to explore those ideas, even if those ideas consider things that are outside of traditional norms. But I think we've created somewhat of a pressure valve in society that makes it harder for people to discuss when anything they want exists outside of what is propagandized or moralized as correct. And I think that's some of the religious baggage that we have to stop bringing into the way that we deal with other people. Is that, and y'all know, like I've been championing this now for almost 2 years, is that I kind of think the key, and it's just me, is treating people like individuals, making no assumptions, right? So what if we did not assume that monogamy was the only way to do relationships? Like, go with me for a moment. What if we didn't have that assumption? That leads us, in my opinion, to healthier conversations around what we want in our relationships and what we do not want, and why. Because I think once you get down to the why, it helps us all get to decisions that actually matter to us. And again, that's why the through line of these conversations for NSFW is not telling people what you should be doing. This is not to normalize everything, nor is this to condemn everything. The goal is to have us all in the same space, having the same conversation, so that we can begin to see ourselves in other people's situations. Again, y'all always know I say, with the blind man touching the elephant, or the blind folk. You know, I don't want to be gender normative type of thing, but we're the blind folk touching the elephant. And the way we learn more about life, the way we learn about what's possible in life and what's available in life, is by being able to learn through other people, right? So I highlighted the communication aspect because that's healthier alternatives to infidelity. Because if you see here, infidelity, anything that's outside of the honest agreement is going to feel like betrayal. So it creates harm for people, right? So healthier alternatives are open communication. And that's really where we're not going to get better communication until we get more honest in communication. You know, like we got to show up in the conversation as ourselves. Couples therapy, that's always an option. Relational reinvestment, which, actively working to restore the passion or whatnot. But then also ethical non-monogamy. If there's a desire for multiple partners that is persistent, discuss opening the relationship with full transparency and consent from your partner. And I'd suggest figure out the why. Fall in love with your whys. Why do you want to do anything? That's where the freedom comes from. And so this is going to lead me to I think this is my last poll of the day. I did skip one on purpose. Yeah. But this is a poll that I definitely wanted to hit before we left. And Should your partner tell you an uncomfortable truth? Oh, I like that. An uncomfy, because it has a word limit. I forgot, a text character limit. Should your partner tell you an uncomfy truth or lie to protect your feelings? And I want you to answer as honestly as you can here. Honestly as you can. Oh, they coming in. Do you want an uncomfortable truth, or do you want to lie to protect your feelings? But what if the truth is gonna hurt really bad? But no, like, what if the truth is gonna ruin the family? But no, what if the truth is gonna break Big Mama's heart? You know, Big Mama on her last leg now. If she find out, like, y'all don't want to lie to protect Big Mama? You don't want to keep Big Mama alive just a little bit longer? Nah. The answer is clearly, tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. And now the question is, can you handle the truth? Oh, I like this. Lying to protect feelings is a bad habit to start. It is. It's a horrible habit to start. It's a horrible habit to start. If you're a supreme moral pillar, they would not be here. Yes. Every lie rings true to somebody. Your partner is not Big Mama. Be truthful with your partner and leave Big Mama out of it. So you can be truthful with your partner. We just lie to Big Mama. Or we just omit the truth for Big Mama. We pretend that we still together at the at the bedside. Oh man. All right. So let me close this thing down. And I'm gonna leave the vote up and let's see if we get some more votes in there. But right now, everybody's seeing, like, y'all are seeing it with your own eyes. I'm not just saying it. It's there. That no, if you're in a relationship and there's something that you're hiding, let's stop hiding it. Maybe it's time to start sharing some things. Maybe it's starting to need to know basis ground. So relational pluralism, and I'm committed to talking about this stuff because it often doesn't get talked about in a way that isn't performative, right? Which is something that I've become mindful of because of the members of our community. I learned so much from the people in our community that gives me fresh perspective and empowers me to do this work. But the importance of talking about this is talking about this in a way that's not performative, that's not just leaning into this idea of being hypersexed, but just really humanizing this conversation without saying, "Ooh, monogamy is bad," and without saying, "Ooh, polyamory is the best thing since sliced bread." Is to say that people have different experiences and we should be willing to learn from everything that's available. So relational pluralism and sexuality is the concept that there is no single right way to structure relationships, which validates diverse, intimate, romantic, and sexual agreements beyond traditional monogamous marriage. Again, I am not saying in any shape, form, or fashion that traditional monogamous marriage is bad. I am saying honest agreements should be based on the actual honest conversations, not social assumptions. Religious pluralism, and that's the thing, monogamy, not religious, relational. Relational pluralism includes monogamy, okay? It just emphasizes personal responsibility in defining, negotiating, and choosing the relationship model that works best for the individuals involved, reducing the stigma. Okay, I have to say that part again. I know I gotta go, but I have to say this part again. The whole idea of religious pluralism, this is not, well, I keep saying religious, a relational pluralism, which means a world where relationships are no longer defined by one model. It's a world that emphasizes personal responsibility in defining. It is your personal responsibility to define, to negotiate, and to choose the relationship model that works best for you and the people involved. And that's how we reduce the stigma, that every relationship needs to be a result of the responsibility of the people involved, not societal pressure. I think that's the big lesson that we have to learn, is that societies are not good at prescribing what is best for everybody. We're just not. Society, like, that's not something we're really good at. We think we know what's best for everybody, and it's something I constantly challenge people with. And when people are telling me like, "Oh, we just all need to do this, we just all need to do that," I'm like, have you really talked to enough people to be able to come to that conclusion? Because some of these people out here are wild cards, man. I'm a wild card. We are all a wild card, which means sometimes you be thinking we gonna zig and we gonna zag. People are not as predictable as we like to think that they are. I mean, they're pretty damn predictable, but just not as predictable as we like to think that they are. And this is why outsourcing how our relationships are defined to society is not a great idea. You know, so core aspects of relational pluralism is that there are multiple valid models, you know, which recognizes that consensual or ethical non-monogamy or polyamory or open relationships and traditional marriage are all legitimate coexisting structures. And they've always been coexisting. Like, I mean, that's the thing, is like, I grew up around a lot of unstructured polyamory. That's how I call it, like unstructured. Like everybody's sleeping with everybody. They just pretending like they not, even though everybody know, you know. And that was the kind of frustration I was sitting in when I was counseling that one situation. It's like, why are we just going to pretend? But so multiple valid models, all of them are valid. It's beyond mononormativity. And that's challenging the cultural assumption that monogamy is the only natural or moral way to conduct relationships, right? And moving towards this place that we're more focused on consent than anything else, right? Emphasizing that all participants involved are aware of and agree to the structure of relationship. You can't, like, putting somebody you being non-monogamous in a relationship with somebody who doesn't know that, that's not ethical. I was gonna say it's probably not ethical, but it's like, it's just not ethical, right? So the whole point is consent. And yeah, I want to create space for these conversations are easier to have, but they still have to be honest. And that's the real thing about honesty. When you're dishonest with people you're in relationship with, you are robbing them of their ability to consent. Isn't that good? Like, no, like that's what dishonesty in relationship does. You robbed me of my right to consent. I had a right to consent to this or not. And you just, like, you completely took it from me. You took away my right to consent or not, you know? And then, of course, tailored connections, which allows individuals to tailor their relationships to meet specific needs, rather than expecting one partner to fulfill every emotional, romantic, and sexual role. And I think that's the end game of where these type of conversations go ultimately, is that we become more in tune to ourselves and each other, and we get to have a larger exploration of human relationships, you know. And whatever that looks like, I'm looking forward to seeing. And so, just to kind of round this out, the reason I wanted to put these two together to have this conversation about infidelity and pluralism is to kind of give us a type of contrast. Cheating and pluralism represent two fundamentally different ways of engaging with multiple partners. Cheating is defined by secrecy, deception, and the breaking of trust, where one or more partners did not consent to the non-monogamous aspect of the arrangement. Pluralism, or polyamory, or ethical non-monogamy, is defined by transparency, consent, and ethical negotiated agreements between all partners involved, you know? And so I did have like, okay, so I'm gonna put this last question up. Not that one. I'm gonna do one on the screen. Thank you so much though. Like I love it. Like this is dope, which does mean I need to stop the poll and hide it. This is the last question that we're gonna do for the day. And this is one I want y'all to answer at your own pace. But why might someone be curious about pluralism but afraid to say it out loud? And I want y'all to think about that as we're closing up today's conversation. That's what I want you to think about. You know, why might someone be curious about pluralism but afraid to say it out loud? And maybe you're the somebody who's been curious about pluralism. And has it gotten a bad rap under different names, right? Has polyamory given it a bad rap? Have social media influencers given it a bad rap? Like I do remember shortly after I deconverted, there were another group of preachers who were also deconverting, and they were getting really deep into like the Black identity movements. I'll call them that. Really big into the Black identity movements, where polyamory was often glorified, but in a way that for me, and listen, I'm just going to say what I say. Nobody has to agree with me. But for me, came off very performative and just, what's the word? Like shiesty. Like it just like, he just seemed like dudes trying to sleep around, it's giving like there's no like real maturity in this. It's just that, oh, I just found out I can have more than one woman. And it's like, oh, that version of that. And so I did see that, which made me very uncomfortable of the culture itself at the time, or how I would have presented it. And so like, if someone was asking me that question, if I would have been interested in pluralism, what one of the things that would have made me afraid to say it out loud is the way that it has been marketed by others. Like there are certain communities, like the Mormon community pretty much has cornered the market on polyamory, like that. Ooh, you like what? Oh man. Harsh judgment is the only answer I can think of. Like that's the real deal. Like, and that's why like my goal is to create places like there's certain secrets that aren't gonna there's certain secrets that are going to stay secrets until we create places that are safe enough for people to have the conversations without having to leave the conversation with a scarlet letter. Like you think about a young woman being in a relationship with someone that she really cares about, and then she says, hey, by the way, I'd prefer for our relationship to be polyamorous, or I'd prefer for our relationship to be non-monogamous. And it's one thing for a person to say, ooh, well, I don't actually want to be in that type of relationship. And bam, that's the end of the conversation. But the truth of the matter is that's not the society that we live in. We live in a society where exposing yourself in that way by saying, hey, I'd actually prefer to do it this way could very well lead to you being slandered. Now I'm going to tell everybody that this is who you really are. And if we were a healthier society, that wouldn't even matter. Like if we were a healthier society, that threat only hits hard because we live in a society where it will hit. And so we have to do work. I feel we have to do work to create safe spaces, safe environments where people learn how to sit with nuance. That's a series that we have coming up in a few months from now called Sit in It. Where you're gonna have to learn how to sit with this complexity. Like this is how we got to religious superstition in the first place. This is how we got to consistent dehumanization in the first place. And that's being uncomfortable with sitting in the nuance of human complexity, having to deal with that uncanny valley situation of how can we look so similar but want to do things so differently. No, you're going to have to learn how to sit in it. That's why a lot of swing parties don't allow single men to attend without a female partner. That makes sense. Yes. Because conformity is held as a prerequisite for any relationship. If you only have all or nothing as an environment, you end up performing to get in the door and keep doing so. Oh, that is so good. Afraid of hurting a monogamous partner. Yes, they might feel rejected, man, or insufficient. Man, perversion is harmful. What is your true motivation? Greed is unacceptable in any other situation. Man, that's interesting. That's interesting. And so, what is your true motivation? I like that. Yeah, what is your true motivation? Perversion is harmful. I'd have to define it. But I love this point, Jude. Afraid of hurting a monogamous partner, they might feel rejected or insufficient. Because I think that's what I would feel. I think I'd be like, I ain't enough, you know? But a part of that is I've been kind of like, remember, that's a part of the language that we owe each other all of each other. Therefore, if I'm giving all of me, then all of me has to be enough. Right? If I'm giving all of me and all of me is not enough, like, man, if that's not, I love it. The seductive lie of simplicity makes the world understandable by not understanding it. That's good. I'm afraid of what it would say about me. Like, listen to that, y'all. Like, that's real stuff. That's real stuff. Like, that's the world we've created. Like, I'm not making that up. That's the reality we live in. We live in a reality where people are not really showing up as themselves. Because when they do show up as themselves and it's uncomfortable for us, we do everything we can to try to force them back into what's comfortable for us. But one of the things that I try to remind people is that nobody else owes you their lived experience, period. It is absolutely possible for you and another person to go through the same exact circumstances and come out shaped differently by them. That's the reality. That's the complexity. And so it's in order to be able to share this world together, we're going to have to be able to live knowing that, like, hey, everybody's not supposed to like what I like. Everybody's not supposed to love what I love. Everybody's not supposed to be negatively impacted by what I'm negatively impacted by. And I think like purity culture is something I fight against, not just in sexuality, because it's not just in how we treat each other about sex. I want you to watch this. What we just saw is people saying, like, I'm not saying this or I'm not doing this because of the harsh treatment of the world. Like, I cannot show up as myself because somebody's going to say, oh, you shouldn't be that way. Why do I owe you who I am? I don't owe you that. It's not harming you. Oh, y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready for that conversation. So I had a lot more questions for y'all today, but I don't want to take up any more of your time than we really need to. But maybe I'll post some of these questions. Maybe I'll post some of these questions in the comments or somewhere in Discord. Y'all know I don't go in Discord a lot. I don't go in Discord a lot because y'all are always finding a reason to fuss at each other. Why does Discord make y'all do that? It's so interesting to me. I don't like Discord. I don't know if y'all have noticed. I don't like it. But in the spirit of this series, I'll tell you why. I tell you why. Because sometimes we get so caught up in the things that are important to us that we forget nobody else owes us their lived experience. And that is a truism, So listen, as we close today, I want to remind us that this conversation was never really about trying to convince everybody to see relationships the same way. This was not about making monogamy the villain. This was not about making pluralism the hero, okay? This is not about excusing betrayal, and this is not about turning somebody's pain into debate content. This conversation is about something much deeper. It's about honesty, because whether you're monogamous, non-monogamous, single, married, divorced, dating, healing, curious, confused, or completely uninterested in relationships right now, the question still comes back to integrity. Can we be honest about what we want? Can we be honest about what we promised? Can we be honest about what we assumed? Can we be honest about what we're afraid to say out loud? Can we be honest before secrecy becomes the place where harm begins? Because the opposite of infidelity is not necessarily monogamy. The opposite of infidelity is integrity. And integrity requires more than desire. Integrity requires courage. That's the courage to build relationships on actual agreements instead of invisible contracts nobody remembers signing. And for some of us, that's hard because many of us were never taught how to have these conversations in the first place. We were taught rules. We were taught shame. We were taught gender roles. We were taught what relationships were supposed to look like, but not actually how to build relationships that are honest, healthy, mutual, and humane. And that's why Bridge City matters, because Bridge City is not just a place where we talk about what we no longer believe. It's a place where we learn how to live after inherited answers stop working. We're learning how to connect better. We're learning how to build better. And most importantly, we're learning how to live better. And it's conversations like these that are a part of that work, because community is not built by avoiding the hard stuff. It's built when we learn how to bring truth, compassion, accountability, and care into the same room. So today, maybe your next step is not to make a major life decision. Maybe your next step is to ask a better question. Maybe your next step is to have a conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe your next step is to revisit an assumption in your relationship. Maybe your next step is to stop hiding behind shame. Or maybe your next step is to get support, seek therapy, tell the truth, set a boundary, repair harm, or finally admit that the agreement you're living in is not the agreement you actually made. And maybe your next step is simply this: don't process this alone. If this conversation stirred something in you, Bridge City is open. Come into the global campus, introduce yourself, join the conversation, step into the community, and find people who are also learning, who are also healing, who are rebuilding, questioning, and growing. Because we're not building a community where everybody has the same story. We're building a community where people can bring their real story and still be treated like they matter. So tap in, take the next step, join Bridge City, and wherever you are in your life, your relationships, your healing, or your journey of becoming, keep connecting, keep building, keep living, and as always, keep rising. And that's all I have for you for now. So let's jump into our next steps for today.
What an incredible session. Today, we're just scratching the surface of what it means to have brave, honest, non-judgmental conversations about sex, sexuality, intimacy, desire, shame, secrecy, consent, boundaries, and relational complexity beyond purity culture, patriarchal conditioning, religious guilt, pop culture distortion, and performative liberation. So I want to hear from you. What was your light bulb moment today? Drop it in the comments right now, or head over to the Commons on the global campus to keep the conversation going. Speaking of moving the conversation forward, if you're making the decision to officially join Bridge City today, let me be the first to say, welcome to the Bridge. We don't believe in gatekeeping community. If you found freedom here, if this conversation gave you language for something you've carried quietly, or if you're looking for a space where people can think honestly, without shame doing all the talking, you belong here. Your first step is to follow the link on the screen. That's your portal to the global campus where you can transition from spectator to builder. And one of the best ways to start is through our free new member onboarding course. We've made your pathway easy with brief learning tracks that break down our mission, our model, and how to navigate the campus. By the time you finish your next steps, you won't just know about Bridge City, you'll know how to plug in, build relationships, and make an impact. Joining gives you access to member spaces, community conversations, specialized circles, and resources designed to help you connect better, build better, and live better. If you're ready to bridge the gap between where you are and where you're going, click that link. We can't wait to see you there. For the rest of us, if you value these weekly sessions and believe that post-religious community is worth building, let's create an opportunity for generosity. Your giving is about fueling the mission. It makes this space accessible, sustainable, and scalable. And right now, one of our major focuses is supporting local events that seed local community. Because conversations like this shouldn't only happen online. There are people in cities, campuses, living rooms, coffee shops, and community spaces who are searching for a place to think freely, heal honestly, and build relationships without religious shame or supernatural pressure. When you give, help us scale the bridge. You help us support watch parties, local meetups, community events, and real-world gatherings where people can move from isolation into association. We don't use guilt, we don't manipulate people into giving, and we don't promise supernatural rewards. We simply believe that if this mission matters, it deserves support. So whether it's weekly, monthly, or whenever you're able, your generosity helps us reach further, serve better, and build stronger. The link and QR code are on the screen. Thank you for making a statement of support today. You're helping this vision move from concept to community. And finally, of course, don't keep this to yourself. A bridge is only as effective as the places it goes. There are people right now searching for post-religious community. People who are trying to recover their bodies from shame. People who are trying to understand intimacy without purity culture. And people who are trying to build relationships without fear, secrecy, control, or inherited guilt. And some of them do not need another sermon. They need a safe, honest place to think. So, share the replay. It's got a pretty banger song. Invite someone to the global campus, where I run vocal workshops occasionally. Start a conversation, host a watch party. Let somebody know that life beyond religious superstition doesn't have to mean life without community. So let's reach the world together. Thank you for joining us this weekend for the NSFW series. This is not the easiest conversation to have, and that's exactly why it matters. Sex, sexuality, and relational complexity deserve more than silence, fear, jokes, judgment, or recycled purity culture. So I hope today gave you something to think about, something to question, something to name, and maybe even something to handle with more care. To our visitors, I hope this conversation gave you something to carry with you this week. Remember, the first time you're a visitor, the second time you're a guest, and the third time you're as good as family. We can't wait to see you back here next weekend as we continue creating brave, honest, non-judgmental space for people moving beyond religious superstition toward human flourishing. To our members, don't let the conversation end here. Make sure to check the resource board where you can suggest movies for our monthly movie night, spotlight a charity, and even learn more about the teams making this community possible. There's so much happening behind the scenes to help us keep building better and living better together. And that's all for today, Bridge City. As you head out into your week, remember our core values: forward-thinking, people-centric, and life-affirming. Be forward-thinking enough to question inherited shame. Be people-centric enough to handle vulnerable conversations with care. And be life-affirming enough to build relationships, communities, and futures where people can become more whole, more honest, and more free. So until next time, keep rising, be the bridge.
What's my name, fool? I don't need you to justify my love, to justify my skin, to justify or mystify this human that I'm in. I don't need you to sanctify my purity or defend my security. I am invested What's my name?